Okay, so we will discuss today growth of ballad writing in the 15th century. Though this age is generally regarded by critics as a barren period in English literature, however, there were certain significant, contributions made during this particular age. One was the setting up and popularization of drama, and second was popularization of this ballad writing. Ballad, what is a ballad? First of all, let us understand. Ballad is a short narrative song which is meant to be sung, right? जिसे गा के सुनाया जाए इस तरह की poem, right? You can understand it in simple words. It is a musical song which you sing in your movies and all. You find a lot of songs. So songs are basically poems and poems which are meant to be sung. That is a ballad. Its pronunciation is जैसे salad बोलते हो salad वैसे ही ballad. Okay. Then it has got simple language, strong rhythm, and there is strong rhyme in it, and there is often a refrain. Okay. And the theme of a ballad is a story. It tells a story in quick scenes. Even there are no dialogues, right? It is only a song in the form of song. Those that story is told. Okay. So uh, you understood what is a ballad? A ballad is a short narrative song. Narrative means where you tell a story that becomes narrative. See, these are the two features of ballad. First is it is a narrative song, yeah, poem which is meant to be sung, जिसे गा के सुनाया जाए. Okay. Then सिंपल लैंग्वेज में होती है, रिदम स्ट्रांग होती है, राइम भी स्ट्रांग होती है, और एक रेफरेन होता है. रेफरेन का मतलब होता है a line or a part of a song which is repeated, uh, usually at the end of the verse. Okay. End of the, sorry, each verse. हर स्टेंजा के बाद उस लाइन को रिपीट किया जाता है. ठीक है. Like you might have heard so many songs in which there is a refrain समझ आ रहा है कि एक स्टेंजा पूरा हो गया, उसके बाद वो लाइन हर स्टेंजा के एंड में बोली जा रही है, रिपीट की जा रही है. So that is called a refrain. So what it tells uh, the story, uh, the story in simple and rhythmic or rhymed manner uh, in the form of a song. Okay. Uh, so I hope you got an idea what a ballad is. Okay, the simplest form of poetry which has simple words. Okay. For example, there is a famous movie है वो गब्बर सिंह की. तो या एक दूसरी भी है जैसे वो डॉन को पकड़ना मुश्किल ही नहीं नामुमकिन है. ओके. और दूसरी एक डॉन थी, उसमें एक डायलॉग है, रिश्ते में हम तुम्हारे पिताजी लगते हैं, ठीक है, मतलब बाप लगते हैं, और नाम है शहनशाह. राइट. सो इस तरह से बहुत सारे हैं. पिक्चर अभी बाकी है मेरे दोस्त. ओके. राइट. सो दीज आर रेफरेंस विच आर repeated. Okay. At the end of every scene or something like that. Okay. So now why ballads grew in the 15th century? 15th century में क्यों ये grow हुए? 15th century में you know there were vibrant oral performance culture, because most of the ballads they were oral in form. ओरल मतलब मुंह से गा के, क्योंकि गाना है मुंह से ही गाया जाएगा, कोई कहानी पढ़ के तो सुनाएगा नहीं. ठीक है. तो एक वाइब्रेंट ओरल परफॉर्मेंस कल्चर थी उस टाइम में. मिन्स्ट्रल्स होते थे गाने वाले, एंड मेले होते थे, फेयर्स, और इस तरह से देर वॉज अ कल्चर विच सपोर्टेड दिस काइंड ऑफ परफॉर्मेंस. एंड the urban markets and festivals, they invited large number of audience. Moreover, there were a lot of social changes happening, and there was new hunger, okay, amongst people to listen to such things. There were wars, feuds, crimes, border raids, and later you see that William Caxton had set up the press, a printing press there. So this setting up the printing press, it started to stabilize and spread more tales. अब देखो, बैलड्स है क्या है, एक कहानी है, कहानी जिसको लोग गा के सुना रहे हैं। ठीक है, तो गा के सुना रहे हैं तो पहली बात तो सुनने वाला होना चाहिए, तो वो कल्चर होनी चाहिए। लोग जैसे कोई गा रहा है तो सुनने वाला और गाने वाले भी होने चाहिए। ठीक है, तो वो दोनों चीजें थी उस टाइम, एक ओरल कल्चर भी थी, एंड देर वर पीपल हु वर एंगेज्ड इन द बैलेट सिंगिंग ऑल्सो। और दूसरी, उनको कहानियां चाहिए थी, स्टोरीज। किसकी कहानी सुनाएंगे, तो वो दैट वाज अवेलेबल टू देम इन द फॉर्म ऑफ वॉर्स, फ्यूड्स और क्राइम्स या बॉर्डर रेड्स जो होती थी, उसकी कहानियां बनती थी, दे यूज्ड टू बिकम सॉन्ग एंड दीज सॉन्ग्स बिकेम बैलेड्स। ओके। और तीसरी चीज, ओकेजन चाहिए होता था। ओकेजन क्या होता था, मार्केट और फेस्टिवल्स होते थे, वहां पे आसानी से उनको ऑडियंस मिल जाते थे। राइट। चौथी चीज, जो प्रिंटिंग जो थी, उसके बाद क्या हुआ, थिंग्स स्टार्टेड गेटिंग स्टेबलाइज्ड एंड स्टैंडर्डाइज्ड एज सच। ओके। देन ballads, they were generally, carried from one generation to another in oral form. So earliest जो ballads हैं, they are, because it is a story which is carried from one generation to another, right? So most ballads, they were circulated by memory, okay, orally, uh, before it was written. एंड जो मैन्युस्क्रिप्ट्स हैं वो लेट 1400 के बाद की, जब प्रिंटिंग प्रेस आया, देन जो फुल जो बूम आई इन दिस बैलेट राइटिंग एंड बैलेट सिंगिंग was in 16th century, and the foundations were laid in the 15th century. So this is how it emerged from an ancient old, memory based tradition to the print form. Then what is the form of a ballad? So ballad generally has four lines, चार लाइन होती है, और उसके अंदर जो राइम स्कीम है, दैट इज ए बी सी बी। ए बी सी बी का मतलब है फर्स्ट एंड थर्ड राइम, फर्स्ट, सॉरी, सेकंड और जो लास्ट लाइन है, दैट इज राइमिंग। ओके, सेकंड और लास्ट, फर्स्ट और थर्ड लाइन जो है, दे आर नॉट राइमिंग। ओके, सारी की सारी राइम्ड नहीं है, सिर्फ second or fourth line, A, B, C, B. So then refrain for memory. They use refrain. Refrain, I told you, a line, a word which is repeated after every stanza. That is called refrain. So refrain किस लिए होती थी, याद करवाने के लिए, okay, and audience participation के लिए, okay. Then there were dialogues, jump cuts between scenes, and repetition. Okay. Uh, so this is the form and style. Now, what are the themes and types? Themes क्या होते थे उनके? Themes, as I told you, ballads, they dealt with the story, which, you know, which they saw around, everything that they saw around. That was some story of some Robin Hood. Robin Hood is a character, something like, someone who uh, breaks the law in favor of someone, okay, to help someone, right? तो इस तरह से एक डाकू है जो रात में जो है वो सेठ, बड़े बड़े सेठों की तिजोरी लूटता है, और दिन में वो पैसा जो है गरीबों में बांट देता है। तो इस तरह का, दिस इज कॉल्ड रॉबिन हुड स्टोरी। ओके, तो इस तरह की थीम्स होते थे। आउटलॉज, जैसे वो कानून की नज़र में तो वो गुनहगार है, बट दे आर हीरोज इन द आईज ऑफ द पुअर पीपल whom they help. तो इस तरह से, इस तरह की स्टोरीज होती है, आउटलॉज एंड जस्टिस की। देन एज यू नो, देयर आर battles, border conflicts, so they also became the theme of these ballads. Other themes were like love and betrayal, crime and punishment, and also supernatural marvels, supernatural things, supernatural events, supernatural happening. Supernatural ये होता है कि जैसे कोई आदमी डूब रहा है और एक 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 कोई पावर आके उसको बचा लेती है। एक उड़ता हुआ हंस आता है और उसको डूबने से बचा लेता है. These are supernatural marvels. Yeah, something happens which is not natural, which is beyond the natural limits. That is supernatural. And कई बार occasional devotional storytelling was also the theme. So these are the themes. Broadly, it consisted of outlaws and justice, like the Robin Hood themes, border conflicts and battles, love and betrayal, crime and punishment, and supernatural marvels. Okay. Then examples, if you quote from the 15th century, Robin Hood and the Monk in 1450, it is the earliest surviving text of a ballad. And next is a Gest of Robin Hood that was written in century 1500. And most important and most popular one is the Chevy Chase, which was written in late for 15 uh, or early 16th century, which is about the border hunting conflict. Okay. And how they were performed, how they circulated amongst the public was they were sung by the minstrel. Minstrel और गाने बजाने वाले जो लोग थे वो इनको गा के सुनाते थे. And these refrains invite audience to join. Like, refrains are just like a kind of kind of uh, memory uh, memory cues to the audience or a kind of invitation कि जैसे अ, उसके लास्ट में लिखा होगा हाँ भाई हाँ पता है तुम्हें तुम्हें पता है right something like that. So it was repeated at the end of every stanza. So this acted as a kind of invite for the audience. हाँ भाई हाँ पता है क्या तुम्हें तुम्हें पता है क्या तुम्हें पता है क्या something like this. Okay, then species, they were performed in open markets, fairs, taverns, streets, and great households. Okay, and how they survived was because they were patronized. उनको कोई ना कोई पैसा देता था या tips मिलती थी उनको, right, in the marketplace or in fairs, right. This is how they survived and they performed. And language कैसी होती थी इनकी? अब that song is very simple words which also require rhyme and rhythm, because rhyme and rhythm is highly desired in this ballad. So their diction was plain. Diction means their language, and their actions were lively, and they repeated phrases uh, because they were memory based. So that is why repetition of phrases was a common feature of these ballads. And there were certain formula lines which helped singers improvise. And as per the crowd, they adapted their ballads. And there are different local versions due to which they arose because of these oral performances. Okay. And uh, if we talk about the cultural work of ballads, they keep the narrative energy outside the courtly poetry. Okay, because basically they narrate a story, and that is how they are different from that courtly love poetry, and they in a way they share. Uh, they are built on the shared memory of people. One generation passes the story to other through these ballads, and these stories are of local heroes, communal values, and also cautionary tales. Okay. uh, and why this 15th century matters for ballads? Because uh, I have already discussed how the particular environment was suitable for this form of literature to survive, and it strengthens English storytelling in popular forms. Right. Second is it acts as a bridge between that oral culture and the print culture. Okay. Uh, so this is how it connects the two, the orality and the print. Okay. And it also influences later poets who value musical narrative and also the plain style. So that is uh, why these became so significant or important during this particular age. This is a quick timeline. Early mid to 1400, there was oral ballad culture which thrived, and the minstrel, they were active, the singers and performers. Then in 1450, this Robin Hood and the Monk. It was recorded, and in the years 1470 to 90s, the printing arrives. That William Caxton, who set up the printing press. Okay, and now there was a wider spread of tales because things were now getting standardized through printing. And 1500 onwards, uh, this circulation of these ballads increased, and because of this printing. Okay, so this is a quick recap of what we learned till now in this particular lecture. First thing is these ballads. What are they? They are songs, or they are poems which are meant to be sung. And what are those? These are narrative songs. Narrative means they tell a story, and they grew out of oral performances. They were passed on from one generation to another through memory, through oral traditions, right? And the stories are place-based stories, topical stories, and they were performed in the public spaces like a fair or a marketplace, or uh, someone hired these minstrels. Then they performed in their particular places, and it is a simple musical form uh, which made them memorable and mobile, because it is simple and easy to recall and remember. And that is why they were easily transferable, or they could easily be uh, uh, passed on from one generation to another. And we saw how these ballads, they changed shape from being totally oral to something in print also. So this is all about the